The following podcast may contain spoilers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Treading the Path of Heaven. Your, I don't know, probably your favorite web novel review podcast.
I mean, I don't know if we're the only ones left, but we're definitely still around somehow.
Yeah. I'm Jonathan Kinney, your host, and I'm joined as always.
I'm Richard.
Yep, we're it's been a little while since we've done an episode, but we're really excited about tonight because we're talking about a book that, at least to me, is very special, which is Beware of Chicken.
Yeah, this is it's a little bit different. This isn't normally like this isn't a translated web novel. This is just a good old already in English web novel.
Yeah, I'm assuming, based on the context of the book, that the author is from Canada.
He's got to be from Canada.
If he's just like from the U.S. and he's just writing the perspective of a Canadian character, then he's got me. But my assumption.
Yeah, it's on Royal Road and spacebattles.com, and the guy is putting it up there, and I believe he's going to be, what is he? What is his name? Farmer? Casual farmer.
Yeah.
Which is funny because the main character is farming ever so casually, cultivation farming. So
yeah. No. It's a really interesting book. It is the first, like, one time I was reading some stuff that Deathblade was writing about how, like, he very rarely feels that Western authors are able to capture the feel of a cultivation or a Shinja novel. Because they don't, like, there's a Chinese portion of it that is like cultural, and like most that just don't get and don't understand how to incorporate it. But like this one really feels like it kind of gets it.
It definitely gets it because the main character is like a transmigrator, so he gets that there are certain tropes like attached to these cultivation worlds. And, he definitely writes it from the perspective of if one of us who would be like a fan of something like that is pushed over into that world and just goes, you know what? I don't want to deal with it. I really don't want to deal with it. It's just a lot. And, I respect him setting up his story in that situation, like in that style, right? Like it's definitely running from the call of adventure type character, fish out of water cultivation guy who doesn't want to cultivate, and the way it's set up is just so, because he's so good.
Yeah. So yeah, Nori, I think, on the Discord recommended this book, and I checked it out and like ravenously read like what was out over the next couple of days, because this book is something. And then I was like, Richard, you got to read this book. This is what's going on. And he did.
Yeah, I consumed everything until they ran out of stuff to consume. Like he was like, I'm going to take a I consumed everything until he took that hiatus. And we definitely had some big fans of Beware of Chicken on the Discord.
Oh yeah,
for absolutely. Sure. Like couldn't help every chapter. So like, did y'all read the new chapter? I'm like, yeah, I did. I want to talk about it.
So okay, yeah, we've kind of alluded to some of the main points, but like, all right, this novel, it starts out, there is a cultivator. He's in one of the really high rank sects in the world, but he's like in the outer court and like the lowest level of disciple. But he gets in a fight with an arrogant young master in the sect and dies. And right as he dies, in comes the soul of our Canadian main character. Who suddenly wakes up in the body. He's no longer dead. He still has the memories of his cultivator self, but also the memories of this transmigrator who is familiar with Shinja tropes.
Yep.
I'm like, this guy's like, I've read the last 150 chapters of I Shall Seal the Heavens. I ain't trying to go to the peak of existence. That shit was sad.
Dude,
and so yeah, he immediately looks up the bylaws in the sect and is like, how do I leave on good terms? And he goes and follows the regulations to do that, a thing no one has done in hundreds of years. The guy was like, wait, I mean, I vaguely remember we have a regulation like that.
They just couldn't believe anyone would leave their sect, would walk away from the idea of reaching the peak of existence. And he's like, I guess you can do that. And the guy's like, you get like the POV of the guy who's checking the main character out, going through the process of letting him leave. And he's looking and he's like, wait, when did we have, did he have, I guess he had some talent growing these, spiritual herbs. That's impressive. I guess he could get a fair penny for that. I wonder what he's going to do. But then like he gives it like a second of paying attention to him. And he was like, you know what? Anyone who would flee this isn't worth me paying attention to, and stops. And that was the worst decision that guy's ever made in his life. Truly.
Because Jinro, our main character, takes that opportunity and he runs with it. He found the weakest place in the world and he went to it instead of trying to grow out of it. He went there. The guy he left the sect for was like, dude, I don't need the like 200 gold. Keep it and help it to support yourself on the outside of the sect. Like, good for you, man. And then he so he just goes and he buys a farm, and like most of the next like time of his life is like setting up for his first harvest. He's just out there like plowing the land and moving rocks. It's like that, like the first time, like when you start Harvest Moon 64 and you're just sitting there. I'm dating myself here.
His cultivation technique is also very interesting. I keep saying cultivation. He's not trying to cultivate, but it's happening without him realizing he's doing it, because he is giving his key to the world while he's farming, since it's making the land he has purchased and everything just kind of move better. His harvests are better as he gives key to the planet, right? So it's like the way they set up, like it ends up being a lot less of a convoluted cultivation system, convoluted power system in this world. So much so that his future quote unquote disciples, or his children, or his farm animals, or however you want to call them, they get more out of the profoundness of what he's doing than he realizes that what he's doing is profound. Like it's funny the way it's set up.
Yeah, no, I mean, like that's he brings a little batch of spirit herbs with him because he's like, I'll just grow these to like, because they're healthy. I know that because I'm a cultivator, so I'm just gonna grow them so that I can eat them. And his chickens start getting into him, and one of them gains sentience, becomes a spirit beast, and then starts. He's the best character you're one of. See, Jinro, as we said, is a transmigrator from our world, so he calls this chicken Big D, and he's constantly saying, go tell him, Big D, when he's going out to crow for the morning.
And he's saying it in English, by the way. He's saying, you tell him, Big D. But no one on this no one speaks English, so they're interpreting it
in their characters,
in their characters' language. So like Big D takes on the moniker Bitey because he thinks that's the name he named him.
And he hops along the fence posts of the farm, the Great Pillars of Faram.
Yeah, that's the name of the sect, Faram, bro. Like the Great Pillars of Faram, their own little slice of heaven. Oh, there's so many catchphrases in this, guys. There's so many catchphrases, and it's great. He gets two pigs. He names it Peppa and Chunky, but they don't realize, like the pigs themselves don't. No one gets that. It's all like memes to him. It's all jokes to him, really.
but they're jokes that only make sense to him, literally. I wonder if someone at some point is going to also have been transmigrated and is going to show up and like hear him call them like Chunky and Peppa
and Tigger.
Get the jokes. They're so on the nose too. But yeah, no, like you get the sense that the main character thinks that he's very weak because of how easily he got bodied in his sect. But because he's been doing this thing where he's genuinely giving to the land because he wants to, he doesn't aspire to raise himself to the heavens. He aspires to create the heavens around him.
Yeah. Why rise there when you can create it on where we're right here? Paradise can be right here. But then that, because he creates something so grand, the driving force of the story is going to force the cultivation world at him because he's creating something so grand in such a terrible area. Like there's a grander story in the background that that Casual Farmer has been introducing as his students go out and experience the world and have legit their own cultivation stories. All of his farm animals are their own main characters and their own cultivation stories happening around Rujin. It's kind of incredible. Jinro, yeah. Rujin, as people, as his fake name that he gives people by just reversing his names. I don't know why he did that. He could have got a little deeper on that, But
dude, I don't know. I've seen that in a lot of other novels, and it's worked. So I mean,
I mean, Clark Kent blends in and isn't Superman by just putting on glasses. So I mean, what am I saying?
I mean, but the main character Bound Through the Heavens definitely just swapped the order of his name many times as an alias, like a consistent alias.
I guess I guess if we're gonna do like this is cultivation, China, and they have so many millions and millions and billions of people, I guess just changing your name, reversing it, is enough to blend in. But I'm not convinced.
No, absolutely not. I don't think it would work on any of us. But that's the point. Is like he's operating on that law of like I know things that they don't know, so I can just slide around shit. But yeah, no, this story is so, it's not an action filled tragedy. It is designed to be wholesome and like slice of life, where it's like the cultivation things happen and they're there in the background, and like it is a cultivation world and it's always relevant to the story, but it's never the focus of the story. What they care about is like the new batch of potatoes are coming in, so now we can start trying new recipes. Or like, I met this girl down at the local village.
Oh yeah.
She's got green hair and freckles and she's really cute. Like that's the impetus of the story.
I appreciate how fast the romance moved forward in this story. Like I was like, maybe this is gonna be something we'll deal with, 5 or 6 novels in. No, this is just
no. He put that away by the end of book 1.
Violence is so rare in this story that when it does happen, it hits. Like I get it. Like I get the themes of the story, the main character interpreting ambition as being evil, right? That's pretty big, like undercurrent of the background of the trauma that led him to where he's at. And when he conveys his trauma to people and explains that he isn't the profundities of his statements aren't as profound as the people interpret them as, his animals and his students can only look at him in even more awe as he explains his trauma.
Yeah, well, it's like it's because he has a mores from a different world. So like the things he's saying are profound, but not because like there's a layer of like a huge level of depth to them, but because they're concepts that just aren't extant in this world until he says them. Because like it's not like the things aren't there in the world already. It's just everyone has taught themselves that they're not within reach, and no one thinks to like grab the very obvious thing of like, what if we just worked together, or what if cultivators helped mortals because they could, or what like what if instead of cutting down the flower that only grows once in 1,000 years, we took care of it?
Yeah. Why ruin this beautiful thing that helps that can help one person? We can just, I don't know, take care of it and make more and help everybody.
And so like, because he's given back to the earth's given back to him, and so like he's cooking what he thinks is normal rice, and then it's like this rice that's so valuable he can't sell it at the local village. And it's like everything he does has incredible returns because of like what he does for the world, because it's just a world that has just been literally just been taken from and taken from and taken from, and he's the first person that, at least in this area, that's giving back.
Like, he's definitely not gonna get any kind of heavenly punishment for his strength, because he's just giving back and saving, literally protecting the world and trying to turn it into heaven, versus the other cultivators. Like, example, I want to talk about a scene that to me really like got me attached to the story like the hardest. Remember when the first occurrence of the rats at the farm, when
Yes. Oh, I was actually going to bring that up, and then
Rujin left. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't want to jump ahead too far, but
no, dude, no, you go.
That whole scene. Okay, so spirit beasts can exist, right? It seems like any beast, any animal can gain the spark of sentience, right? And can try to cultivate and move forward. During this period, I like to think of this as like the first trial of Big D. Big D, for the first time, got to experience what it's like to be the arrogant young master, and he got tricked hard by this rat that was pretending to be weak, pretending to be dumb, showing him there are other ways of cultivating. Introduced Big D to the concept of pills, a thing that's ever so common in other cultivation novels that exist in this world too, like humans and whatever normally are using it. But it's literally the antithesis of the way Big D and Jinro and all of them have learned to cultivate by following, Jinro.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I mean, Jinro, like for him, it's like he views that as a waste of good crops. Like that could have been on a dinner table.
Yeah.
And like that's what I love about this story, is like the motivations come out of such like human such like fuck. I'm completely losing my the word I want here. It's relatable. Like you're like, oh god, I wish people in these stories would make that choice occasionally. I want to see them be happy for a year. It would be great. But no, like there's always got to be like the threat, the thing that's coming to kill them, because that's what creates the tension of the story. So it's like this story, while is an incredible parody of the genre, because it's not trying to detract from the genre. It's just like being like, hey, there's a different way these stories can go.
Well, to quote another story I've been reading a lot of that I enjoy a lot, 9-star Hegemon Body Art. Like, cultivation is a lonely path fought with like death and pain and violence, and we're never gonna have a happy life until you have absolute power and all this other stuff. This is like the exact opposite of that. By focusing on family, by like, if the main character in that decided, yeah, I'm just going to spend time with my brothers and my wives and just hang out and live a happy, simple life, and that in and of itself gives you the power to defend it, that's breath. What is it? Beware of Chicken. I almost called it Breath of Chicken, like it's Breath of the Wild.
All right. I would, yeah, I'd play a Breath of the Wild type thing where you get to play as Big D.
Yeah, I would love that, dude. I want to walk around the world of Breath of the Wild with as a chicken with a fur coat. Like,
give me a Beware of Chicken Muso. But no, like getting back to the evil rat that was tricking Big D. He's like, he introduces him to pills, like you were saying, like this cultivation thing, and of course he gives him sweet words and he tricks him. He has the stuff in the pills that makes him lose his reason, so he's just going to go insane, and he starts like this celestial grace that he had found himself in, where he's following Jinro's, like, I guess, correct path of cultivation, at least for where they are in the world. Like suddenly starts to get defiled and dark, and like he realizes it, and like when he realizes it, he realizes the wisdom of what Jinro has created in Faram. So it's like this emotional like turning point for him, where he like Jinro was his master because he was the guy that fed him up until that point, and he respects his strength, but like at that point he became his spiritual master as well, where it's like he understood that like his way is correct, and he's like, I'm gonna follow this guy forever because I'm never gonna go wrong if I am.
Oh man, like Big D trying to cleanse himself of his failure and also the corruption in his body, like reverting I'm not, maybe not years, but reverting his progress in cultivation, reverting it down to try to cleanse and scrape the evil from his spurs. like the shame he feels, and and realize like this moment Big D at his lowest is why like when they introduce Tigger to the story, she looks down on him so hard. You couldn't even protect Faram from rats. Oh my god, I love her. She's like my second favorite character.
She's so good. There's so many incredible stories. Like we haven't even talked about like Sai Julan.
Oh yeah.
Like or Go Rin, or any of the like the village crew that starts showing up at the farm.
Or the Spirit of the Land, which is secretly the main character of the entire story.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love, is that like Jinro, unbeknownst to him, has inspired all of these actual cultivator stories that are constantly going on around him. And like he's just kind of ignorant of it. Like he kind of perceives that stuff's going on, but he doesn't know any of the details of it or how hardcore it gets, how like his animals literally like go out at night and just like defend the farm from other things that try and invade.
I feel so bad for Sunken. He really picked the wrong place to threaten. He could have gone anywhere in the Azure Hills, and he had to choose the wrong farm to look at. Brutal. But honestly, though, the cultivation girl, what is it? What was her name?
Sai Julan.
Yeah. That was like the luckiest she will ever be. That was all of her karmic luck used up right there, running into them. Like truly.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, get to
that
live
would
in
have
a
been
place.
If we're talking about Heart Devils, that would have been the biggest one for her entire life, had she not ended up exactly where she was.
Oh yeah. Any progress she would have made never would have happened. She probably would have lost the Sun King, to be frank, at that point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But honestly, being able to go beyond her base standard or that. Honestly, she's a cultivator, right? She's a classical cultivator. She comes from the young mistress of a grand house, and seeing her perspective and all of the silks and the peerless beauties around there and all the drama of the cultivation world in her, and keep on, they're a lower tier. They're the lowest tier of the cultivation world possible. Them. and it's still they treat everybody else like they're mortals. They're just rude and all this, that. In the third, just being around Jinro for a day completely changed her as a person. Like, it is so much, man. Like, I wonder, like, it makes me wonder how the story's going to move forward when they start progressing to other areas, or are they never going to leave the Azure Hills, and everything else is going to continue to come there to start?
I can see that being the way the story goes, but honestly, I can think of like maybe like 3 or 4 plot points that they've already introduced that could be potential hooks for them to have to go away. Not the least of which being the Jinro's or Rojin's adopted grandfather.
Yeah, that guy's cool. Like,
Who's
I would
just
love to
apparently
love
one
more.
of the badasses of the cultivation world, just in general. Just
What is it? He alone is slaying demons trying to invade by himself.
they just described a really cool like apocalyptic battlefield sort of thing that they were just like casually having tea on and having a nice conversation.
Like, that was the rude awakening. The guy who let the Azure Hills let Jinro go to the Azure Hills. He's like, wait, he's related to who? That person? Oh no. they cleaned up the whole sect. I mean, that guy ended up being way cooler too. Like, I mean, he came to the Azure Hills and set up the most impressive intelligence agency, secret Illuminati control place, casually, not even trying.
These people are having like faith in the organization. Like, I'd lay down my life for this organization. It has a grand divine purpose, which unbeknownst to them is to deliver a letter.
You just
one letter.
Deliver a letter. That's it. Like, all of the assassins, all of the spies, all the people, they just bow and honor this one guy. And he's like, I'll do anything for the Grand Master. You realize the guy who's running it isn't even important to his own sect. He's just like a regular dude. And it's like, then just, what's the word? Perspective. It just puts everything in the perspective.
Yeah, no, the story is, it's so charmingly written, and there's so many just fun, it's so good at world building. Like, you have the whole Sunken arc, and it's like a whole big traumatic thing, and then the result of that is the introduction of the cultivator chick, but also his blade gets cut up and reforged into a plow, and it learns to love cutting the earth instead of cutting flesh.
Oh yeah, item spirits. It becomes like item spirits. Good old Sunny. And it becomes Sunny, and it's plowed by the samurai. What is it? Samurai ox, babe or Bobby. Bobby and Sunny. And he's like, do you want to bet? You want to talk? He's like, I can talk, but it's not. I just wish to cut. Learn to cut stronger, cut better. And they just use him to make roads. But at any point, they could be the most deadly. Someone missed that farm. They're gonna get they're gonna get cut. And the guy was like, yeah, you need to cut without destroying the roots. So you get the perspective of the cutting instrument. He's like, because it used to be the blade was sucking. I've cut flesh. The guy wasn't very good at cutting. The cuts were never clean, but I'm cutting. But I can cut without harming. But that's more difficult to cut. How do you cut in that way?
A challenge finally worthy of a blade of my caliber. It's all the tiny little shit surrounding this story that I think makes it so lovable and so much fun to read. And it's actually started to go some places. He's definitely, Casual Farmer's definitely creating a bigger overarching plot. What he's going to do with it, I have no idea. But I've been enjoying the ride so far.
I also love that simply progressing in power doesn't fix issues that happened before the cultivation happened. Going back to the rat event, arguably my favorite character, the one that touches my heart the most, Chunky, is harmed during that period, and that maintained the situation that happened during that still carries over into the future. The like the interactions with the characters are due to that. Like the interactions with the characters and their relationships are affected by that, right? But like because Chunky is such a positive character, it's not negative, right? Like
yeah, no, he is this like unspoken spiritual rock for all of the spirit beasts. Like he's like when they're like at their emotional weak points, he just like shows up and like says the one thing they need to hear to change their perspective.
I mean, he's the magical pig of the of the group.
I love that he's the only one that hears the real names.
Yeah.
Like he knows that it's Peppa and Chunky and Big D.
It just took a little bit of a mental deficiency for him to be able to see the code and understand what's happening, but also always be the person who one is somehow the most in touch with the earth of what's going on with the earth spirit. The person who is literally always there for when everyone is having emotional blue screen of death. Chunky is there always.
No, Chunky's a hero.
Like he's so like all of the lines written for Chunky, they all land. Like, and you'll be reading it, and you'll read a Chunky chapter, and it'll just give you a big. I would watch a Chunky slice of life of him just hanging out in the pond having a good time. Like if you just give me Washi and Chunky adventures, I'd watch that forever. God.
We haven't even talked about Washi. Just is a fish. Yeah, Jin like continually improves his house and his property over the course of the story. So like one of the comments on this story says it's Stardew Valley, but in a cultivator world, and like that feels pretty accurate. But like one of the things that he does is he builds a river through his house. And one of the fish in it just gains sentience like so many of the other beasts in his area because it's just so rich with this like vital key now. And so it gains sentience and he starts like using it to wash dishes and clean off all the excess food on their plates because it just wants to eat. And it's very unpicky, at least at first. But he has his own cultivator arc, and like the cat they get has its own cultivator arc, and
they all like Washi ends up getting the most stereotypical one because he's like, you know how carps become dragons.
Yeah, they have to jump over the dragon gate, go up the waterfall, and jump through the dragon gate. Right?
But he does it via math. Because Washi, for the sake of eating better and understanding, he understands. He just innately understands the mathematical flow for mathematical equation for flow. He just gets it.
He worked hard too because, damn it, he needs to eat that good stuff.
Like I love these characters, and it's like, and then people visit the farm, and they're like, "That's a dragon."
What is their dragon? It's like, no, that's our dishwasher. It's fine.
It's our dishwasher. Our dishwasher's a dragon. And no one like oh my god.
But no, I love the concepts in this story because like the spirit beasts start awakening. Anyone in this world would be like, oh, a spirit beast, how can I take advantage of this? Jin's first thought is like, wait, shit, they're sentient? Do I need to like educate them? What does this mean morally? Like he starts thinking about it like a person in our world. He's like, what rights do they need to have? What do they deserve as sentient beings?
Honestly, he's making the mecca for spirit beasts, like truly, because every time he runs into them, they like attach themselves to him somewhat, like Miantao and
half of it's just because he's got just projects he wants, and they're like, he's like, oh, you know what? You would be great if you could help me out with this. Then he builds them their little place of paradise. I love that the bee is quietly becoming this integral part of the farm while trying to be sneaky about it.
Yeah, people don't talk about Vajra enough. And I don't think he realizes that Vajra is sentient yet.
Yeah, no, definitely, I don't think so.
Also, I think if she progresses any further, like if she goes full Tigger and like progresses to human form, is going to be a problem for
Yeah, she's
his
gonna show
wife.
up in the bath immediately.
Yeah, she because she's so badly. He's like, I need a proper kink, and Rujin is it. Everything about the story is so good. I love all the characters. I love the side characters. I love the interactions, like when Big D is talking about the Tao with the master of another school.
It's just, yeah, and they give you that visual image of like people walking by and they're seeing this old man dressed in like these incredible Taoist robes and like with the long, regal, perfectly maintained beard, just honestly just having discourse with a chicken that's in front of him. The young disciples are looking on and staring at it, but then they hear the things that are being said and like they're getting enlightened.
They're having a true Tao debate about the profundities of a blade of grass versus the moon. It's so on the nose for cultivation, but
yeah, like that's what really sells this story, is that like this person understands the writing behind cultivation stories really well. Like Casual Farmer has read enough of these stories to understand the beats that need to be there. And so he knows when to put them in and when to purposefully choose to not put one of those beats in, which sometimes speaks a lot louder than the ones he does put in. But no, I mean, like, it's just such a fun story to read. I've been recently getting my cousin into reading cultivation novels. He's gone through Battle Through the Heavens and I Shall Seal the Heavens.
Oh, that's a lot of heavens. Wow. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But he's like, he started being like, man, maybe I should read Beware of Chicken. It's the first one I've got him interested in that's still ongoing instead of being completed. And I was like, maybe you should wait, because honestly, I think the more cultivation stories you've read, the deeper your appreciation for this novel is going to be. Because
Truly.
like it does a lot of the tropes that it's messing with. It doesn't like talk about like in a normal cultivation story it would be like this. Like it very rarely uses language like that. It just expects you to know what the trope is supposed to do and then does the thing that it isn't. Which works a lot more naturally and smoothly than it would if they were trying to like be like, haha, look how I'm subverting this.
It's like subverted, and like if you don't have experience with multiple different types of cultivation novels and you can't spot all of the different archetypes of characters and see how it lampshades it, you won't appreciate it, right? Like you won't. It'll still be really good, but you won't appreciate just how well crafted it is to do what it's doing.
But no, I what I really appreciate about the story is it just like it makes me feel about its characters and its scenarios. Like I am constantly laughing out loud or like have a big smile on my face, or am anxious for like what's coming next when I'm reading the story. Which is like, that's a great place to be if a story can arouse that kind of stuff.
Honestly, yeah. I want to talk about more stuff, but I don't want to spoil it, right? Like I want to talk about like Nezin Huli or like the two boys that comes with his wife. I want to talk about his wife. I'd like to talk about the two boys that come and volunteer at his farm and become cultivators because they are volunteering at his honestly super cultivation farm. Or their different paths and how both of those boys are becoming main characters in of themselves. One's becoming basically a fox swordsman, and the other one is becoming Sun Wukong.
Like Jinro is the motherfucking like dude that lives at the temple and tells the Power Rangers where to go.
Yeah. Don't you dare harm any of them on their adventures, or you're gonna have to answer to him, which nobody wants that. Honestly, nobody wants
The
that.
amount of fear about him that he does not perceive is hysterical to me. That he's just constantly like having like social anxiety in situations more than like actual like real fear about things that could be happening. Like he's like, oh man, I'm gonna fuck up the etiquette of this. Oh no, and they're all like, he's going to be displeased and murder us all on a whim. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, there's so much stuff I want to talk about, but I really want. If you haven't read this book before listening to this episode, you should definitely read this book.
It's hard for me to go in depth and talk about the stuff I want to talk about without spoiling some great moments, and you should just experience them. Like truly,
Yeah.
there are so many characters. It's so well done. And there's no reading it has reminded me that I've grown accustomed to translation weirdness, and getting to consume something without translation weirdness. Pretty nice. Pretty nice to just have everything, right?
Yeah, a story that was written in my language is but still exploring these same tropes is really refreshing.
Also, like getting references that are put in just for transmigrators and the reader that no one else gets, that the main character makes, and you're like, yeah. Oh, you hit me.
How do you break the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall? Yeah, no, it's a great story, and you guys should read it.
Imagine serenading your future wife with Country Roads, your cultivation wife with Country Roads, and she has no clue what you're singing about.
Yeah, his priorities are like, oh, I need to make a banjo. Not, I need to reach the profound stage. All right. So business, I guess. If you need to reach out to us, you can email us at tiger.rollercoaster@gmail.com. Or you can join our Discord, which is ever growing and a fun community to be a part of for me.
Yep. Join in, have conversations. There's always someone there, and there's always a good recommendation or a book to read there.
Yep.
I want to shout out Yuki Okami because he holds it down all the time.
Yep. Yuki Okami and James, we appreciate your support as always.
And Ronnie Rowe, thank you for joining the Intersect.
Yeah, to all our patrons, we really appreciate it. Helps us keep the server space up, and all that sort of stuff. So thank you. Let's see. Other than that, what do we
have? I mean, what would you like to cover next? I know I have Reverend Insanity ready to go whenever.
Yeah, I know people are really going for that, and honestly, I'd kind of like to hear more about that story. So I'm totally down for that being the next episode.
Like, it is quite the adventure. I know when I was reading it, I had to take a little bit of a break because it was almost too evil for a bit, and I needed some happiness. That's why I read Red Chicken to get a little happiness in my heart.
What a good palate cleanser.
I needed to cleanse my palate hard on that. It was rough. Yeah, it was good, but rough for my heart.
Yeah, I'd say Reverend Insanity is on the plate. Dolu Dalu 3 just finished.
Oh, wow.
Being translated within the past couple months. So I've finished that as well, which that's a whole, the author's wife, the wife that inspired the writing of like Zhao Wu and all of his other super intense one person, super loyal romances in his stories, died of cancer during the writing of book 3.
Oh no. Oh man.
And so that story goes some dark places compared to the earlier Dolu Dalu novels. So I would like to talk about that at some point. But the other thing is I have recently finished a reread of Nine Star Hegemon Body Art. So I think it might be about time that we do an updated Nights on that.
Oh yeah, we definitely should. A lot has happened. I overdosed on that novel because I enjoy it so much, like unironically enjoy Nine Stars so much that I'm like, I'm sponsoring it. I'm reading all the early chapters. I gotta know.
Nine Star is like if Meng Hao is the cultivator that like I find like the most elegant, and like Lin might be my favorite cultivator out of the stories, Long Chen is the one I would follow to the death. Like,
for sure,
I would follow Long Chen as a general, 100%. That dude has a charisma that is incredible.
Oh yeah, the charisma is ridiculous. All of the characters I love. I love Guren. Like everyone who runs into him, he's like Chinese talk no jutsu Naruto tier, and how much his words can turn an enemy into a friend, or he'll just kill you. So like
his goal is always to solve things in the most simple way, which is putting a blade through your neck. But if you have to fight him with words, he can beat you that way.
Like if I can't kill you to death, I'll play you to death. And boy, does he play!
I love that he's the best schemer and the best talker in the world, but he disdains both of them.
Everyone's like,
"You rather just kill you.
You have so much intelligence. Why not use it?" And he's like, "I'd like to, but something in me won't let this go."
So yeah, that's definitely should be on the docket. We should get that on at some point soon. But
that's gonna
I think
be a fun night.
Yeah, I think Reverend Insanity would be a good next episode. So I guess look forward to that, guys. I know there's a couple people on the Discord that will be super excited by that.
Hopefully, it doesn't cause any issues us releasing like an episode on it, because I know there is a little bit of drama with it, getting banned and everything. But honestly, I don't see, like, I get why, and we'll talk about more in the episode. And I might just do that, and maybe if you decide to read it, I won't do a nights on it until you've read it. But if we do it and you're like, I don't know, then I can go into depth.
Gotcha.
More.
Well, we'll figure that out, I guess, on whatever feels right there. But if we got that decided for what we're doing next, then I guess all we have left is we didn't have time. We didn't even have time for that.
Oh yeah, I'll let you go first. We didn't have time for.
We didn't even get to talk about freaking the demon-possessed arrogant young master that keeps running into Jinro.
Oh, that poor body snatcher demon had terrible luck. Terrible luck.
We didn't even have time to talk about.
Oh, we didn't even have time to talk about Washi's turtle master, who got run over by his sick food. We didn't even have time to talk about
the party where all the young masters from all the differing sects were just partying together and actually breaking down all the traditions. As all the elders show up and they're like, "Oh, what is this? Oh no, we can't have this. Partying together? No." We didn't have time to talk about.
We didn't have time to talk about Tigger creating very confused vibes with young cultivating men by sculpting their bodies.
We didn't even have time to talk about her sculptures of Jinro.
Oh God.
With her assumptions of what his manhood looked like.
Oh my God. Trying to be hyper realistic with it and trying to understand. Oh no. Oh, we didn't have time to talk about Jinro creating a snowman so large you could see it from miles away in the distance that became infused with ki, and the ice won't melt.
All right, guys. I don't know if you can tell, but there's some good shit in here, and we touched on a lot already. So if you haven't read this book, go read it. And if you have read it, then you know why we're so excited about it. But anyway, this has been Treading the Path of the Heavens.
All right.
We appreciate all you listeners. Thank you so much for all of your support. over the time that we've had the podcast. And we'll see you next time.
See you soon.
Tiger Roller Coaster Productions. Tigers are scary. You try to get off.